two fingers chose the queen, designated her as vessel, granted her authority from above. That's the official story. But look at what happens when the Elden Ring shatters. The divine interpreters don't command. They don't replace her. They don't deliver judgment. They wait for instructions. That waiting exposes everything. Because if the divine must be interpreted, then power does not live in heaven. It lives in the one who explains heaven to everyone else. If you're interested in systems, not just stories, subscribe, because the Golden Order was never just myth, it was design. This is not a story about rebellion. It is a story about architecture, about a ruler who may have needed the two fingers, at first, needed their legitimacy, needed their designation. But dependence can become leverage, and leverage, over time, becomes structure. By the time the order stands at its height, the question is no longer whether she answers to them. The question is whether they can function without her, and when the shattering comes, they do not command, they wait. That silence is not divine, it is structural. If the two fingers were the true authority, then the Golden Order collapses as a tragedy. If they were not, then it collapses as a strategy. That distinction changes everything, because the order is not just theology. It defines life, death, succession, exile, and grace itself. It determines who is chosen and who is discarded. The tarnished are banished under its logic. Empyreans are selected through its system. Shadows are assigned as enforcement. Nothing in the lands between escapes that structure. So when the ring is shattered, we're not just witnessing divine anger. We're watching a system fail to control its own vessel. And the response is telling. The fingers do not correct the rupture. They do not replace the queen. They do not deliver immediate judgment. They wait for instructions. That pause is not small. It exposes the hierarchy. If heaven must deliberate, then the throne was already doing the work. And if that's true, then the shattering isn't chaos. It's a reveal. Before the Erd Tree becomes doctrine, there is selection. An Empyrean is not self-made. She is chosen. The two fingers designate candidates capable of becoming vessels for the Elden Ring. Ranni, Miquella, Malenia, each assigned not only status but a shadow, Bled, Malekith, bound to enforce loyalty. That system is not symbolic. It is operational. The greater will does not descend in person. It acts through intermediaries. The Elden Beast serves as vassal. The fingers serve as interpreters. Finger readers translate their movements into policy. Divinity is layered. At the center stands the vessel of the ring, the queen who becomes the foundation of the Golden Order. Through her, the Elden Ring is housed. Through the ring, reality is structured, and then something irreversible happens. Destined Death is removed. The rune of death is severed from the order and entrusted to Malekith. Mortality becomes regulated, not inevitable. The Golden Order is no longer just guidance from above. It is edited law. There is no record of resistance from the fingers, no recorded correction, no immediate replacement. The system continues. Empyreans are still chosen. Shadows are still assigned. The Round Table still answers to finger authority. On the surface, nothing fractures. But removing death is not a minor adjustment. It is a rewrite of cosmic terms. And rewrites create dependency, because once the law changes, someone has to maintain it. To understand the authority structure, we have to look at how the two fingers actually function. They do not issue decrees in language. They move, they pulse, they bend. Meaning is extracted from them. Enya, the finger reader, translates their gestures inside the Round Table hold. Without her, their will is inaccessible. Without interpretation, there is no instruction. That creates distance between source and enforcement. And distance creates opportunity. Because whoever controls translation controls emphasis, controls timing, controls how absolute a command appears. The fingers designate Empyreans. They assign shadows. They legitimize succession, but they do not administer the realm. The Erd Tree's worship structure, the codification of the Golden Order, the political marriages, the wars against the giants and the suppression of rival belief systems, those are terrestrial acts. They require coordination. They require intention. They require a hand that doesn't just interpret, but executes. And here is the quiet imbalance. There are multiple sets of two fingers across the lands between, each attached to different divine towers, each capable of designating candidates, decentralized authority. But there is only one vessel of the Elden Ring at a time, centralized embodiment. Because if multiple interpreters speak for heaven, but only one body houses the law, then practical authority begins to concentrate in the body. The fingers validate. The throne executes. Over time, validation becomes ritual. Execution becomes governance. And governance becomes identity. By the height of the Golden Order, the system appears unified. But unity is not the same as equality. The interpreters still gesture. The vessel still carries the ring. Only one of them is indispensable. Editing law changes everything. Removing Destined Death is often framed as a theological decision. It is not. It is structural. When the Rune of Death is extracted from the Elden Ring and sealed within Malekith, mortality stops being an inherent condition of existence. It becomes managed, regulated, conditional. That shift does something subtle to the authority structure. If death no longer flows naturally from cosmic law, then the one who removed it becomes the gatekeeper of its absence. The fingers did not rewrite the ring. They did not physically alter its composition. The vessel did. That act redraws dependency lines, because now the Order's stability depends on the continued suppression of Destined Death, on Malekith's obedience, on secrecy, and secrecy narrows power. There is a quiet risk embedded here. If the fingers truly governed from above, this edit should have required correction or replacement. It did not. The system absorbed the change, which suggests one of two things. Either the greater will approved the alteration, or the alteration occurred within a margin of autonomy larger than we assume. That margin is the hidden layer, because once cosmic law can be edited without collapse, the interpreter is no longer supreme. The editor is. And editors rarely remain dependent forever. After the shattering, something strange happens. The two fingers do not respond. At the divine towers, they hang in silence. At the round table hold, Enya admits they are trying to commune with the greater will. Trying, not commanding, not correcting, not condemning, trying. This is the moment the structure reveals itself. If they were the primary authority, the rupture of the Elden Ring should have triggered immediate intervention, replacement of the vessel, direct instruction, judgment. Instead, they enter a kind of paralysis. They must await a sign. That phrase is easy to overlook. It sounds procedural, but procedure implies delay, and delay implies distance. And here's the question that matters. How long had that distance already existed? Were they cut off by the shattering, or had they been operating on diminishing clarity for years? There is no item description that records the greater will speaking directly after the fracture. Only interpreters, waiting for movement. And if heaven goes quiet, the last one who acted still shapes the world. Silence can expose dependency. So this was never a simple chain of command. It was a negotiation disguised as divinity. Hink about what the fingers actually controlled versus what the throne controlled. The fingers designated Empyreans, but the throne married them off, deployed them, exiled them. The fingers provided legitimacy, but the throne wrote the law, shaped doctrine, determined which gods were acceptable and which were suppressed. The fingers interpreted heaven, but the throne built the order, its rituals, its armies, its entire infrastructure. Designation without administration is just ceremony, and ceremony doesn't govern empires. Over time, The Golden Order hardened into something self-sustaining. Law was codified. Death was removed. Empyreans were managed within a system already shaped by the throne. And when the fracture finally came, the interpreters did not seize power back. They waited. That waiting forces us to reconsider the premise. Maybe the Queen did depend on the fingers, once, for selection, for ascent, for the initial blessing that granted her legitimacy. But dependence at the beginning does not guarantee submission at the end. Structures evolve, authority consolidates, and by the time the ring shattered, the balance may have already shifted. Not through rebellion, through architecture. The shattering is often framed as an act of madness, a sudden betrayal of the greater will, a divine crisis. But structurally, it looks different. By the time the Elden Ring is broken, the Golden Order is already centralized around its vessel. Destined Death is sealed. The Erd Tree defines legitimacy. Empyreans operate within boundaries set by the throne. The interpreters validate. They do not govern. So when the hammer falls and the ring fractures, this is not an impulsive strike against heaven. It is the only actor with direct access to the ring altering the system itself. And here the name must be spoken clearly. Marika shatters the Elden Ring, not the fingers, not the greater will's vassal, the Queen. The aftermath confirms the imbalance. The fingers do not depose her. They do not install a successor. They attempt to re-establish contact. The realm descends into war between demigods, each clinging to great runes, fragments of a law that once flowed through a single body. If this were rebellion, it failed. If this were structural dominance, it exposed itself. Because when the system breaks, only one figure had the capacity to break it from within. And that capacity had been building for years. What remains after the fracture is not divine certainty. It is administrative residue. The two fingers still gesture. They still attempt communion. They still endorse champions. But endorsement without enforcement is hollow. The Golden Order no longer moves from heaven downward. It waits for someone to rebuild it. And that waiting reveals the truth. Authority had already shifted before the ring broke. If heaven required interpretation, and interpretation required her, then heaven was already operating on borrowed authority. The shattering didn't create the imbalance. It revealed it. The two fingers still gesture in their towers, still attempt communion, still endorse champions. But endorsement without enforcement is just theater. And theater doesn't rebuild worlds. The Golden Order was never ruled from above. It was built from the throne. And when the throne decided the structure had served its purpose, heaven could only watch and wait for instructions it would never receive.